not enough people give themselves credit for what they could accomplish.
Yeah.
And I think people look at certain subjects and they go, oh, I've heard that class is really difficult. I've heard that it's not difficult, if you really commit the time to like understanding these things. Like I try to tell a lot of people ask what I study and I tell them and they go, "Oh, you must be really good at math." And I'm like, "Yeah, I was good at math in high school, but I like math. I care about math. I'm interested in it. I sit there and I like to look at it and I've always liked to distinguish in my life, and why I think that I tend to be pretty curious about things and how things work is that there's a humongous distinction between knowing things and understanding things. You can know a lot of things, and that's super cool, and I don't blame anyone for knowing a lot of, I don't know, facts or something. You could talk about a lot of things because you know things. But understanding things is like going under the hood, It's like being the mechanic and looking at an engine and being able to point at all the parts and say, that does this, that's the, I don't even know what a car engine looks like, which is, a good example of like, but like people can accomplish and do way more difficult things than they think that they're capable of. It's just you have to make the decision in your mind to say, I'm going to commit to being interested in this. And like I'm going to allow myself to be interested in this. And everyone has different priorities of how they want to allocate their time. You only have so many hours in a day. But I think people at large just need to give themselves more credit and believe in the things that they can do, if that makes sense.
Why do you think they don't?
I think it's too easy to not. It's too easy to sit on your phone and look at TikTok. It was hilarious. I'm sitting there and our two roommates are playing, NBA 2K, and they're laughing and making jokes and stuff, and I was in a TikTok trance for probably 30 minutes. I didn't look up once. I'm just scrolling video after video, and it's almost like I just woke up from a nap and I'm like, wow, what just happened? I just think it's too easy to distract ourselves with things that entertain us easily, and we get distracted by a lot of other things in life. Not even distracted, it's just people's priorities are different. Just because you can do difficult things doesn't mean you will, and doesn't mean you'll commit the time to being able to like understand how to solve difficult problems, because you have to learn all this stuff before. Some people like to go out on Tuesday nights. Some people like to read math papers. And, we have both of those students at a school like this. I think it's difficult to commit to doing that thing, but I think too many people don't allow themselves to think that they could do it in their mind, if that makes sense. I think people would look at, say, the kids that study, that are, in philosophy, that are really deep, and they're interested in these really complicated philosophical questions, and they write these long 15-page papers about these things that I don't know what they're even talking about. A lot of people would look at them and say, I could never do that. I could never even understand all that stuff. Well, if you read enough and you were interested enough, you could, because you would take the time to be curious about it and understand it. But, it's easy to say, I could never do that. That's the point. I think it's easy to say, wow, that person's amazing, and that person probably is amazing. But it's very easy to say, I can never do that. This is what I do. I can never do that.
I think the reason it's so easy to say it is because it's so comfortable to say it.
Yeah,
and it's
definitely.
Like, you don't want to put in the work to be able to do that. But with that being said, I think what makes these people so amazing is that they have the discipline or the curiosity or the passion or the intensity to be able to do this every single day, rep after rep after rep. Something I've been thinking about recently. And this has a lot to do with the transition I'm going through in my life from student athlete and undergrad and everything to like what I'm going to pursue within the next few months, really. But I was telling George yesterday, I've sucked at editing. And it's okay. Like this week alone, I woke up at 6 a.m. to go to the gym twice. Then I stayed up until 2:30 a.m. writing essays, slept in until 10 a.m., and then we got up at 5:30 a.m. to go golf, and then we're recording and drinking on weekdays. Like, my life is literally all over the place. I was just talking about this with Nikos, the Laguna Maricas, and he's like, dude, it's part of what you go through. after being a student athlete. And that's okay. But part of my realization is it's like, dude, it's not really that crazy to really make it at something. Oh no, but like it takes a lot of work. Yes, it does. It really does. But think about it this way. I was listening, I told you about the Alex Hormozy episode with Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO, and something that really stuck out to me was you got to make success inevitable. And it sounds like super like, oh, Instagram influencer, yeah, I'm going to be successful and a businessman. But when you really think about it, he just goes like, look, my podcast, because he has a podcast, my podcast took 6 years to get where it is today. 6 years. And I posted every single week for 6 years. It's the same thing as going to the gym. It's the same thing as gaining an education, etc. Imagine if I told you, I want to go out on the golf course and shoot, I want to break 90, Tate. I'm going to break 90 after playing golf 10 times. No, you're not, bro. No, you're not.
Anyone that's played golf knows that.
Anybody that's played golf, or the same thing with soccer. It's like, well, you know what, Tate? I want to play 31 soccer games, and then I'll commit D1. I think I'll be good enough then. That's not going to happen. So if I post only 31 episodes of Denting, why am I expecting it to blow up? Which I'm not, but it's like, well, I know I have to post 100 times. If the fancy number is post 1,000 Denting episodes, I could post every month or every other week or every week or twice a week or 3 times a week. The number's still going to be 1,000. How fast I get there is another story.
Yeah.
Same thing with going to the gym. Dude, how are you so strong? How are you benching that? How are you squatting that? How are you running that fast? How is your mile time that quick? Like, all these things. And it's like, well, I just did the same thing every single day without any excuse.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about with education and with passion. It's like, I genuinely think people aren't doing this, and it's not that hard. There really is no secret to success or all these things. Like, what are you doing differently? I'm doing the exact same thing every single day for the rest of my life. With that being said, some people think like, dude, the podcast is so much work. I don't know how you do it. And to me, it's like, I'm not even doing it enough.
Yeah.
Same thing as like when athletes tell me that, it's like, well, I don't know how you do your sport either. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see how that can make us lonely. I don't know if you experienced it with soccer, how it made you lonely with friends in middle school and high school, in college, and naturally cuts out a lot of friends. I was telling George, I don't know anything about Greek life at all.
Yeah, same here.
And that's because of soccer. It cuts out a lot, but that's because of the people you're surrounding yourself by and what you want to do in life. And that's just going to keep going and going and going until it is what it is.